1, 2, 3, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6. And I say that tentatively because, well, this is the second recording we're doing now. We had to delete our first attempt because the audio decided to fuck up. So here we are, back at it again. So, let's talk about what happened, or what has been happening, rather, in Iran with these nationwide protests. At least 6,126 people killed in Iran's crackdown, activists say. So, lots of bad things are going on in Iran, and I think it's quite obvious what's going on, right? I mean, women want their liberation, and I think rightfully so, which, by the way, actually, I'm kind of glad we redid it, because I kind of want to bring this up now, since it just a flash of inspiration just dawned upon me. It just came upon my soul, and I was just reminded of Adam and Eve, and, well, and people don't like to talk about it too much, but there was another partner that Adam had before Eve. Did you know that, Emil?
I did not.
He did. We have some more lore to be expanded upon, and it's the idea that he used to have a wife called Lilith, and Lilith's whole thing, Emil, was that she wanted to be equal to Adam. A lot of them regard this as a sin, and it's evil, and it's bad. I personally don't. I think it's righteous. I think it's true. I think it's good. Because, when it comes to the bedroom, a lot of people have this dom-sub dynamic. And I'm just going to be outright with it and say I think everyone's true identity and nature on that matter is to be a switch. It would just be dependent on how you feel, because, you know, when you're with someone you truly love, you could go either way. So I really think this dom-sub thing, this predator-prey thing, this master-servant dynamic, this male-female dynamic as it's presented in the Bible, and Judaism, by the way, is actually inherently wrong, wicked, and evil. Because we are supposed to kind of be equal. Like, we're not above our counterpart, right? You know what I mean? We're not above our counterpart. And so that is why you can see, anyway, to bring it back here, you can see then why women in Iran, as they're the ones who are likely, as we can tell just by looking at a lot of clips, are the ones who are very outspoken and probably started this movement way before even men ever would. Though, of course, they're still necessary, but, because they want their freedom, right? They want their freedom, and it's not that they want freedom, it's more like they want equality. Of course, freedom means to women in the modern era, to them, freedom in the modern era just means sexual freedom, which is, of course, just simply degeneracy. But I digress. The Iranian people have a cause to revolt for, and it makes sense because there's a lot of old practices, old prejudiced ways, and society's changing. And on that note, Emil, Iran actually used to be something of a Western country, actually. It was one of the more westernized countries in the Middle East, surprisingly enough, as I came to find in my research. And it was, over time, they eventually just got back over by religious fundamentalist elements within their population, right? Such that they're at the point that they're in now. So, yeah, let's talk about Trump's response to this, I guess, right? So Trump says, massive armada heading to Iran, urges Tehran to make nuclear deal. So, yeah, Trump is basically threatening to pull another Venezuela operation on this nigga in the Middle East. Like, he's not afraid to pull the trigger. We're gonna take over a country without any shots being fired once again. I'm glad I remembered, but speaking of, this also shows us how we're moving into almost a new kind of warfare in the world. And this is going to lead into why I don't think World War III is going to happen. We very well may posture World War III. We're going to do all the posturing we can for World War III, right? Because that's going to be part of the informational war campaign. But well, I don't think we'll ever get to the point where it's full-blown conflict, because it's just going to be proxy wars, but with a focus on proxy wars, because we recognize that to not focus on the proxy wars is essentially mutually assured destruction without even having to use the nukes. I mean, this is what the nukes, if anything, that's all that a nuke actually really allows you to do. A nuke allows you to bully other countries while not being bullied by other countries with nukes. It's just a guarantee to do that, because every world leader knows it's suicide for world powers at this point to go to war with each other. We have this idea called Thucydides' trap, by the way. Have you ever heard of Thucydides' trap?
I have not.
Alright, well, it's basically the idea that a world power and an emerging world power will inevitably come into conflict. And there's lots of past wars in history we can look at to confirm the data. It's a well-known, well-studied phenomenon, but I think we'll definitely buck the trend this time. Or at least rather, if it's just going to look different, because since we are dealing with fifth-generational warfare, this propaganda information warfare, we see that information is far more powerful in the modern era than it ever could in the past, right? Because, listen, when two countries went to war in, let's say, the 1700s, it was kind of the assumption that every citizen of a country just kind of hated every citizen of another country, right? They're like, we're at war, we should hate each other. But when you come into the modern era, you'll notice that veneer of hostility is kind of fading away, because people are more interconnected now than ever. And shout out to this YouTuber called Toycat. I was watching him earlier talk about how, in general, it is a trend for a lot of the world's leaders' popularity, their approval rating, to be going down, which suggests something of a global working class mass psyche emerging to go against the global mass psyche of the elites, right? Which is why America could go into a country like Venezuela and not even just go into a country. We effectively declared war without going to war. And we effectively went to war without actually going to war, because we took over the country with, and this is some crazy shit, we apparently used some supersonic warfare technology. It would cause people's brains to get headaches, they would feel nauseous, they would start bleeding out the nose. We've got some incredible fucking toys in the American military's arsenal, and I would not want to fuck with. And the fact that we could be hailed as liberators and also perform that operation so cleanly, because we didn't assault the Venezuelan people, right? We barely even touched their military. We barely even scraped their military. We just went straight for the fucking head of the snake and decapitated it. How beautiful, how utterly beautiful. I mean, truly, that is how you take down a system and not its people. It's how you liberate a people, right? It's a great model to follow, and I do strongly hope that Trump takes that option here. Although I will say, I wouldn't blame him if he doesn't take the option, because it's, far more delicate situation with Iran and the Middle East and whatnot, and, well, just kind of wanted to bring that up. I mean, we can see that the Iranian Supreme Leader's scared bitchless. He's running underground with his tail between his legs to an underground bunker. Fears Trump might come for him. God damn it, if those fears ain't fucking based and true, he very well will. You've already fucked with this country so much. Yeah, they definitely need to get with modern times. They need to modernize. Everyone needs to modernize it. Everyone needs to start loving each other more, right? More compassion, more understanding on what love really is. So yeah, any thoughts on the Iranian situation, my friend? I've been yapping about it for like 10 minutes now. So, do you mind saying something? I almost forgot you were here.
Whoa.
See, you only said one sentence last time, so I knew the second time was going to be an incredible fucking struggle for you, and I'm here for the struggle. I am here to watch you flounder and wail and flail.
Well, if I remember what I said last time, it was that on some level having nukes, because that's what that's what we're messing with Iran for, because they're trying to develop nukes. And
All right, you think the protester thing is just merely a cover for the nuke thing? I could see the argument, but I do think there is a level of righteousness to be said about, killing 6,000 of your citizens, quite potentially 30,000. I read in another article, but I digress.
I'm just saying on like a government level, because having nukes, like as we established in the Cold War, having nukes is essentially like you're now allowed to sit on the same table. Because like you said,
Right.
countries with nukes can't go to war with each other. But, against something like Iran, we don't have a problem, right? Like Venezuela, we don't have a problem.
Right.
So having the nukes is essentially
Yeah.
like the qualifications to sit at the same table. And we're denying
Yeah, no,
the
and
ability to sit at that table. Like just on a government
that's
level,
definitely
aside from everything else going on.
That's definitely a point worth mentioning, because, I mean, this country was founded on the principles of representation. We literally had the Boston Tea Party, right? We fucking threw tea into the harbor because we weren't getting representation. Could have been about money, but, representation. I really do think everything's about money at the end of the day, and people just make up excuses of righteousness that happen to coincide. Is that just me?
That happens a lot. Yeah, because like
I feel like, think about it.
Support of people as much as anything.
No, it's much more cold. It's much more cold and it's much more cold and rational than I think you realize. Like any movement, like whether it's slavery or fucking women's rights or just like workers' rights, like all of these righteous movements at the end of the day, or our independence and shit, like they're all still motivated by money. Like, none of you people would actually do any of these things if it wasn't for the fact that you're getting paid to be righteous. And that's something I don't think we talk about enough in this world. Because it's definitely a trend I've been fucking noticing. See, I'm actually doing this YouTube channel because I love people. Now, while it may be true that I certainly do have the potential to get money, I'm not getting shit for money right now, right? I am giving my good energy, my good free will, my good identity and being for free. I'm giving it for free. All free of charge, as Jesus' word once was, all free. And, anyway. So I can see why a country like Iran, an Islamic nation, might have desire for nukes, because they essentially perceive on the world stage that, like, other than, like, India? I mean, the Middle East, they get the least respect. I think everyone knows it. Everyone just kind of, like, Islamophobia. I mean, fuck the racism against black people or Asian people or white people. Let's keep it a stack. Well, I guess other than perhaps the Jews, the Middle Eastern people definitely have one of the worst reputations, and I can see why they would want a talk at the table. Because, like, a lot of countries, like, not only do people of nations not respect them, but you have to understand, even world leaders don't fucking respect these people. So you gotta figure how this rubs them in the most wrong way possible, where they really are able to develop a very strong us versus them mindset. So I want to speak to the Islamic culture and what I think is actually valuable from it. Because here's something that I'll say that definitely warrants their representation, so to say. That warrants the necessity of their voice being heard, right? And it's in the fact that we can see how in Western nations our birth rates are plummeting. But that isn't happening in the Middle East. Like shit, their economy is far worse than ours, right? And their situation is far worse than ours. Yet they seem to be able to make it work. And I think there's something to be said. Now I don't know what it is exactly. Oh, I do actually. I just don't know what I don't know what the proper cultural context would look like exactly. But I do know, generally speaking, what it is that is worth fighting for, that to come out of Islamic culture, and it is just the simple fact that they do have a very strong and strict sense of sexuality. I really do think they have it. Like they understand the sacredness of it, right? They understand the sacredness of it. Now, maybe they don't understand how to present it in a loving way, in a true loving way, in a true loving light. But facts are what they are. They clearly do operate a culture that produces more people. They are happy enough that they are producing more people, right? I mean, we live in the fucking West with all of our wealth and health, and for some reason we're not reproducing. So there's something very fundamentally wrong that has gone catastrophically wrong. There's something we are missing, and that thing that we are missing is something that could be learned in the Islamic people. There's always something to be learned from every culture that every culture should be taking in, as we all slowly march forward toward our healing. So, I don't think war has to happen. I really don't. But I will say that I do support, generally speaking, our president to go to war because, well, this is the land of the free. And at the end of the day, no matter what people might say, America has done the most in the war in all of humanity's history to promote love and to promote true love in that. And if it ever does come to a point in this country, and might be foreshadowing a little bit here, if it ever does come to a point in this country where we absolutely know the truth and we have our values set straight, prim and proper, I don't think I would care if my country went to war with the world to make sure we had global peace at some point. It does say in the Bible that we're going to have our final hurrah, our final bang before we finally get world peace. So, understand what time we're living in, right? Because the old world ways of survival of the fittest are dying. We are moving into a post-labor world of abundance, and we're finally going to know what true love is like, because love is not a business. It's not a business. It's not a transaction, and you wouldn't want to bring work to the home. It is unconditional, and it involves knowing yourself. A constant theme I will keep preaching, but again, for right now, for where we're at, and until people notice me, senpai, until people notice me, we will be amongst our fellow brothers, meeting them where they are at. And I'm going to basically keep illustrating the good and the bad that's always going on every perspective, because there's always if there is a bit of give and take to be had, because it's not in love, it's in our ideas. If there's any give and take to be had, it's in our ideas. If there's anything to be transacting, it's our ideas. So, yeah, that's the Iran situation. Any final thoughts you want to bestow upon the people, Emil?
No.
All right. I guess that wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.